All right, let's dive in. We're going deep with The Help today, a film set in the 1960s South.
A fascinating choice.
Well, a listener shared this YouTube video essay about it, really digs into the history and themes behind the movie.
It's true, The Help goes way beyond just entertainment, you know? It really
Yeah,
makes you think about race and class, especially for African American women working as maids back then.
it really does, yeah. So the movie starts in Jackson, Mississippi, 1960.
Okay.
We meet Skeeter, this young white woman, wants to be a writer, full of ambition.
Right.
She's fresh out of college, ready to take on the world. But she ends up stuck writing a housekeeping column for the local paper.
You can imagine how that felt. Like, that small detail actually tells us a lot about what women could or couldn't do back then, especially in the South.
Yeah, total letdown, right? Like,
Yeah.
Skeeter's got all this drive, but society's telling her, nope, be a good Southern belle, get married, stay home.
Exactly. And then we have Aibileen and Minnie, two black maids working for Skeeter's friends.
Ugh, their lives are just constant struggle, prejudice everywhere, the way people talk to them. It's just awful.
It really reflects how deeply segregation was rooted in the Jim Crow South. Everything was separated, you know, even something like Hilly's home hygiene bill.
Oh, the separate bathrooms thing?
On the surface, yeah, but look closer and it gets really disturbing.
So it's not really about germs, is it?
Not at all. It's this idea that white people are just better, you know, superior and need protection from anything unclean.
Like black people are somehow contaminated. That's messed up.
It was used to justify segregation everywhere. Separate schools, water fountains, everything. Keep that hierarchy in place.
Wow. So these maids, they're trapped in a system designed to keep them down, even if they're not slaves anymore. But
Right.
you see their strength, their resilience, despite all that.
Exactly. The help doesn't just show them as victims. They have agency. They fight back, even within those limitations.
And that's where Skeeter's idea comes in, write down their stories, break that silence.
Right. She sees the power in those untold stories. They could challenge everything white South believed. But for Aibileen and Minnie, talking is dangerous.
Big risk, for sure.
Yeah.
But it shows their courage, their hope for change.
To really grasp that risk, we need to go back, way back, to slavery.
Okay, yeah, slavery was terrible, but it was over by the 1960s, right?
Well, sure. But the oppression didn't just vanish. Reconstruction had some potential, but
It didn't last.
nope. Jim Crow laws came in and bam, segregation and disenfranchisement were basically legal.
It's crazy that something as simple as a water fountain could be off limits because of your skin color.
And it wasn't just water fountains, buses, schools, jobs. It was designed to keep white supremacy alive, and the effects were devastating.
So even without slavery, black people in the South weren't truly free.
Exactly. And the maids in The Help show us this. They're not enslaved legally, but the system still controls their lives, limits their choices.
Makes you think about what freedom really means, Not just no chains, but real opportunities, respect, dignity.
Right. And Aibileen especially, her story makes this clear. She talks about being born into service, like it was her fate.
It's heartbreaking. Just because of her race, her whole life was predetermined.
That's how oppression works. It crushes dreams, makes you feel powerless. It goes deeper than just individual prejudice. It's the whole system rigged against you.
So how can anyone feel truly free in that situation?
Well, that's where negative and causative freedom come in.
Okay.
Negative freedom is like no one's physically stopping you, but positive freedom is having the actual ability to live a good life, pursue your goals.
So Aibileen might be legally free, but without good education, fair pay, a society that actually values her, her freedom's pretty meaningless.
Exactly. And that's key to understanding the civil rights movement. It wasn't just about laws. It was about building a society where everyone could thrive.
And The Help captures that perfectly. These individual stories are part of this huge historical moment.
It reminds us that history isn't just facts and dates. It's about real people and what they went through.
And those experiences in the film, they're full of pain, but also so much resilience.
Yeah, and that mix is what makes The Help so powerful. It forces us to see the ugliness of the past, but also celebrate the strength of those who fought back.
There are so many moments in The Help that reveal these hidden layers of oppression. Like when Skeeter finds out about Constantine, the maid who raised her, practically.
Yeah, that scene.
It's a bomb drops for Skeeter. All those happy childhood memories, her whole family history, it's shattered.
It makes her realize Constantine wasn't just help, she was someone who truly loved her.
Right. But she was still disposable, just cast aside without a thought.
And the way Skeeter's mom tries to justify it, saying it was just how things were done,
Ugh, it makes you realize how deep that prejudice went.
like, They didn't see Black people as people, with their own lives and families, just the help.
It's dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And for Skeeter, it's like fuel for the fire. That book becomes her mission.
More than just writing, it's about honoring Constantine and all the others whose voices were silenced.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as the maids start sharing their stories, you can feel the tension, the risk they're taking.
Yeah, the fear is real, but so is their courage.
I remember that line from Aprende. If you abandon this, everything I've written, my son, it all dies with him. It's just heavy.
It shows how much these stories mean, how important it is to get them out there, not just for them, but for everyone who came before.
And then amidst all that, Skeeter bumps into Stuart again, the guy from that awful blind date.
Oh yeah, he turned out all right.
Right. He actually likes her writing, takes her out to dinner. It's nice to see some genuine connection, with everything else going on.
Yeah, like even with all the turmoil, life and love find a way.
But of course, Hilly keeps being Hilly, though Skeeter's toilet prank. I gotta admit, that was hilarious.
Oh, it was perfect, using Hilly's own obsession with hygiene against her.
Skeeter's not playing by Hilly's rules anymore. She's calling her out. Consequences be damned.
And then things get really serious with Medgar Evers' assassination.
Oh, man, that was rough. A real gut punch.
It's a reminder of the dangers civil rights activists faced. Evers was fighting for equality, and they killed him for it.
Makes you think about what those maids were risking just by talking to Skeeter.
Yeah, their lives were on the line, but they keep meeting, keep sharing their stories.
They knew silence wouldn't change anything. They had to speak up, even if it was dangerous.
And then we have that scene with the maid getting arrested for stealing Hilly's ring.
That was so infuriating.
Hilly is abusing her power, plain and simple. Refuses to help with the maid's kids' college, then accuses her of theft over a ring she never even wore.
It's a turning point. The maids realize they can't take it anymore. They've seen enough, felt Hilly's cruelty firsthand.
And the book becomes their weapon, their way to fight back, expose the truth.
And Minnie's pie confession, that's their shield, right?
Exactly. It's shocking, yeah, but it protects them. Hilly's so afraid of that story getting out, she'll do anything to disassociate herself from the book.
So messed up, but it works. So Skeeter gets the manuscript to her editor, and he suggests adding something personal.
Which brings her back to Constantine and the truth behind her leaving.
Skeeter confronts her mom, and what she finds out is even worse than she imagined.
It makes her face the ugly reality of the system she benefited from. It's not theoretical anymore, it's deeply personal.
And that's when she truly commits to Constantine's story. Finishing the book becomes her tribute to the woman who loved her unconditionally.
And then, bam, the book's out.
And it's huge. People are talking, arguing, really starting to see things differently. Those stories are making an impact.
It shows the power of personal stories. Those experiences, the pain and the resilience, they're challenging deeply held beliefs, starting conversations.
Of course, Hilly's losing it. That pie story's all over town. She's mortified.
But her anger just proves the book's point, shows her true colors, and it backfires big time.
And in all this, Skeeter gets a job offer in New York. A writing apprenticeship. It's her dream.
A chance to really pursue her passion, build on the book's success.
And Minnie gets a happy ending, too. Celia and her husband offer her a permanent job. She can finally escape her abusive husband.
A real moment of redemption, showing how kindness can bridge those social divides.
And then there's Aprende, celebrated by her community for her bravery. They see her as the one who started it all.
Powerful validation. She's not invisible anymore. She's a hero, a symbol of hope.
Everyone knows it was her story, even if the book's anonymous.
And it's fitting she gets a copy, a physical reminder of her courage and the impact she made.
But of course, Hilly can't let it go.
Nope, she can't stand Aprende having any kind of win. So she makes up that lie about Aprende stealing silver.
And sadly, Elizabeth believes her. Aprende gets fired, again, for something she didn't do.
But this time, something's different.
She doesn't back down. She stands up to Hilly, reminds her about the pie, and basically tells her to back off.
She's done being afraid. Aprende breaking free.
You go, girl. She might lose her job, but she walks away with her head held high.
It's the culmination of her journey. From a silenced maid to a woman who knows her worth, the power of her voice.
It's bittersweet but hopeful. Aprende story and the others, they've planted a seed. Things are changing.
It feels like a new era is beginning.
When Aprende walks away in that last scene, it's like she's finally stepping into the light,
Yeah, like a powerful image of breaking free.
It makes you think about those small acts of courage, like the maids sharing their stories.
Right, knowing the risks, that's huge. And it can inspire others to speak up too.
Like a ripple effect, huh?
Yeah.
The book really shook things up, forced people to see the maids as real people.
Yeah, no more ignoring the truth. But the film doesn't pretend it's easy. There's pushback. Things get messy.
Change is never simple, is it?
Exactly. But the help reminds us that hope's always there, even when it's tough.
It doesn't sugarcoat anything, but it shows how strong people can be, how we can overcome things.
And it brings up this whole idea of allyship, how people with privilege can help.
Like Skeeter, using her position to give the maids a voice. Though it's complicated, right?
Oh, definitely. Sometimes you wonder if she's really listening or if it's more about her.
Yeah, it makes you think about being a true ally, not just trying to be a savior.
Exactly. And even though it's set back then, the help still speaks to us now. We're still dealing with racism, inequality, power struggles.
It's a story about the past, but it's also about right now. So what does it all mean for us watching it today?
I think it asks us to look at ourselves. Are we listening to those who are marginalized? Are we using our own voices to amplify theirs?
Like, what's our role in all this?
And it reminds us how powerful stories are. Hearing those experiences, different perspectives, it can really open our eyes.
It makes you want to learn, even if it's uncomfortable.
We're all part of this story, you know? We have a responsibility to make it a good one.
Wow, that's something to think about. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the help, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
I hope they realize the power of their own voice. Everyone can make a difference, even in small ways.
It doesn't have to be huge, right?
Nope. Just start a conversation, listen to someone, challenge your own biases. Those small acts of courage matter.
That's where change begins. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey into The Help. It's a film that really sticks with you.
Yeah, makes you think about your own life, your own choices.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder that. Thanks for listening.